For more on this, let's bring in ESPN college basketball insider Jeff Borzello. Jeff, what are the two students involved here saying actually happened with these Georgetown players?
Well, they're saying back in September there was against Myron Gardner, as you mentioned, there was a sexual harassment and assault, and he was involved in a burglary of these two girls' apartments, along with Galen and along with Josh LeBlanc. And there was also threats made against both of them as to, hey, do not report this, or as one of the reports said today, that we'll send people after you. So this all stems from incidents back in September, and the restraining orders were filed in early November, 1 week apart, as you mentioned. And then yesterday it came out. This all came about yesterday. LeBlanc was essentially dismissed from the team. Akinjo left the team. And as you mentioned, the biggest thing I think people are overlooking is that Akinjo has not been associated with either of the complaints. I think he was mentioned in the same press release as LeBlanc, but sources are telling me that he left the team voluntarily. He just wanted a different environment and more of an opportunity to be a go-to guy, but he was not associated or linked to either of the complaints.
And so that's Akinjo. What are the other players saying about some of these accusations?
Everyone around Georgetown seems to be saying, hey, let's let this play out, but there are questions about what did Georgetown know and when. All these guys have played the entire season. There was a court date on November 14th that LeBlanc and Galen Alexander were expected to show up to. They didn't show up to the hearing. They ended up playing that night in a loss to Penn State. So there are a lot of questions about what Patrick Ewing knew, what Georgetown knew, and when. Because, like I said, all these guys have played all season. And the restraining order came down November 20th. All three players have still played in the 3 games since then.
You know, you mentioned what Georgetown knew and when. This is obviously a very different situation than the Varsity Blues scandal from last year. But I also think about that situation that the student body didn't know about the probe that was going on into a tennis coach that was allegedly accepting bribes, and yet the school investigated it years before. That what did you know and when coming up again. What do you make of the handling of Georgetown of these kinds of situations?
Well, I think that there are a couple of things here. One was that Akinjo and LeBlanc were mentioned in the same press release. And if Akinjo is not connected to this, which as far as we know now, he's not, I think it's almost disingenuous in terms of how they've treated Akinjo's departure. Now, the other question is why Myron Gardner and Galen Alexander are still on the team if Josh LeBlanc is not. LeBlanc and Alexander were mentioned in both of their restraining order complaints. Myron Gardner obviously was accused of sexual harassment and assault. So there are questions about how Georgetown's handled this, considering that there are 3 players named in 2 complaints and only one has left the team. So, moving forward, and Georgetown, multiple media outlets asked Georgetown last night for comment on, why only 1 player or why 2 players left the program and the other 2 are still on the team, and they just gave a generic statement about the process of student complaints. So I think we're going to have to sort of wait and see how Georgetown reacts to the rest of this.
Okay, wait and see indeed. Jeff Borzello, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.